All right. So 95% of people worldwide say their pets are their family. So today the theme is the human-animal bond, which is a mutually beneficial relationship between people and animals influenced by behaviors essential to the health and well-being of both. This is not a new concept. The human-animal bond has been ingrained in our species for thousands of years since the beginning of humankind. This bond with animals drives some of us to work with them in our careers. Apparently, zoo animals inspired my career at an early age based on this drawing I recently found at my mom's house. Accredited zoos annually attract over 175 million visitors of all ages. I was one of those kids. Dr. Sharon Deem of the St. Louis Zoo showed that exposure to animals can also benefit human health. Guests participating in the Stingray Touch program had elevated and less variable heart rates and felt happier and more energized. This is also not a new concept. Many of you have heard of One Health, that human, animal, and environmental health are all related and reliant on each other. There's other concepts like this one's ubiquity, in which human and animal health are closely linked, and in many instances are translatable across multidisciplinary practices. So, what is the zoo vet's role in the human-animal bond? While zoo medicine is a specialization with just under 300 board-certified members in the American College of Zoological Medicine, I think it's the ultimate generalization because we have to treat any disease in literally any species, and with that, we often need help. Working with all species inevitably becomes a multidisciplinary experience. We work with specialists like veterinary cardiologists and anesthesiologists, just to name a few. However, we also collaborate with human physicians, especially when working with apes, or engineers when designing medical devices for animals like small reptiles or birds. Sometimes we help maintain the human-animal bond between people and their exotic pets, like rabbits and parrots, animals that not all vets might be comfortable working with. Like this bearded dragon, for example, who needed to be spayed due to overproduction of eggs that were making her ill. Sometimes we're providing medical care to our zoo animal ambassadors, which requires very specialized anesthetic methods and equipment. For example, it turns out that zebras are not just striped horses when it comes to anesthetic drugs. They actually require pretty ultra-potent opioids that can be dangerous for humans to get smooth procedures in these animals. And sometimes we're rehabilitating our local wildlife like orphan black bears of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. This charismatic megafauna attracts so many people to our region, but while that close wildlife-human interface can inspire people, it also can serve as a source of health stressors and disease transmission. Other times, our work brings us to the edges of the world to work with conservation projects internationally, like translocating stranded river dolphins in Bolivia or examining pelicans in a Peruvian marine reserve experiencing an avian influenza outbreak. These projects are so important for the local work we accomplish and our global presence as a field and university. And simultaneously to all this work, we get to teach veterinary students, interns, and residents while on the job. So sharing this human-animal bond with our students is really rewarding. It provides longevity to our career, and it benefits personal job satisfaction in addition to the learning experience of our future veterinarians. So now I'd like to walk you through a case that highlights this multidisciplinary approach and the human-animal bond. Some of you may have heard parts of this story here in Knoxville, but let's start with meeting Binti on the left, a 37-year-old female chimp who resided at Zoo Knoxville. In 2021, she became pregnant, and on Earth Day of 2022, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Unfortunately, she immediately ran from her baby, and the other adult females in the troop began protecting and carrying this infant. Unfortunately, Binti continued to bleed from her birth canal and fainted due to blood loss when she came into her den. So we were called to the scene emergently. And because chimps are Class 1 dangerous animals, we had to administer anesthetic drugs via a dart pistol to approach Binti safely. She was then provided stabilizing treatments and monitored closely under anesthesia. We performed diagnostics, including ultrasound of her uterus, and diagnosed her with a retained placenta as the cause of her continuing hemorrhage. In fact, 3% of women giving birth can have this complication. At this point, I reached my limit of knowledge in my trade and decided to call a human OBGYN specialist, and she walked me through the steps to safely remove the placenta manually through the vaginal canal, scooping it out in one piece. These collaborations, even though brief and sometimes via telephone, are life-saving, and the bleeding stopped immediately. Simultaneously, we anesthetized the other female to retrieve the newborn, facilitated the baby to nurse the first milk from her sedated mother. Unfortunately, again, Binti pushed away her newborn when she woke up, so we made the difficult decision to hand rear the baby until she was strong enough to live with the chimps while taking bottles from her keepers. So a big group decision, 24/7 care schedules, hiring additional staff, including vet students, and many bottles later, we were deep in raising this bright, adorable, active female chimp who was named Stevie after a late chimp conservationist. This process involved a ton of work, patience, medical care, and getting other chimps to know her as well, so that we could eventually reunite her with the troop. And as you can imagine, handing over her to the Class 1 dangerous chimps after 6 months of constant care and bonding was a really big day. We actually hid in a van nearby with anesthetic medications loaded in a dart in case we had to intervene. But thankfully, all the keepers and curators' hard work and meetings with other zoos that had done this before paid off, and the adult females, Daisy and Jumbo, happily adopted Stevie into their care. And this is another human connection that I love. Not all families are traditional biological mother and father. So hopefully people can relate to Stevie about this as she grows. So Stevie's birthday was a challenging and unforgettable day for all of us, and for Stevie and Binti, a day their life was saved, giving them a chance to continue their influence on humans and wildlife conservation. So this human-animal bond goes well beyond that between an individual pet and their person, ultimately, I think, inspiring people to conserve our planet. Thank you.